All right, so we wanted to just do this page. إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا وأبشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون. Those that, and if you look at this ayah, it's actually putting a number of different conditions. Those that say, so they did their shahada. قالوا ربنا الله. They said, our Lord is Allah. Then two, ثم استقاموا. Then they took the path of istiqama. What is istiqama? The word alif sin ta, whenever it actually, not always, but it's a very common thing within the conjugations of the verbs, is that when you see alif sin ta, is actually telling you that they're requesting that lifestyle. What lifestyle did they request? They requested a lifestyle of istiqama. They requested a lifestyle that has the pillars of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a pillar where they're standing. Now, istiqama actually comes from the root qama. And the word qama actually means to stand. So what were they doing? So they said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is their Lord Almighty, and then they actually stood firm. So that's why istaqamu. They stood firm on the principle of the Lord Almighty. What about these people? تتنزل عليهم الملائكة. What do they get? Number one, the malaika are sent down to them. So do these people actually hear the malaika talking to them? No, but there's a comfort that the malaika will actually inspire to them. And here's one thing, is that al-wahy is not the same. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, for example, when we're looking at Musa, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually awha for Musa to throw him in the sea. Where was there the malaika that was actually talking to her, just like the different anbiya? The answer is not necessarily. But she had that urge that the malaika actually had inspired her with. And the same thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُوحِي رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ, sorry, إِلَى النَّحْلِ, that the bees would actually get some kind of a wahi as well. But wahi is not all the same. And this is the same within that area. So that the people, the salihin, would actually get a form of wahi, but this is not the wahi that comes from Jibreel alayhi salam. That's a different one. That's a wahi where it reaches out to their heart, in where they get two senses. Number one, Allah takhafu. The malaika would come to them, telling them, giving them the comfort, don't be afraid. Why? Because you're going to be threatened that if you don't take their path, that you're going to lose your job, that you're going to lose your dunya, that you're going to lose all the privileges in this life, etc. So the malaika, because they did two things, they said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is their Lord Almighty, and they seeked a path of being steadfast. That's why the malaika would give them that inspiration. Allah takhafu. Here's number one. Be comfortable. Be in complete security. Don't be afraid. Two, وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. Don't feel the sorrow. Don't let the depression take over you. And number three, وَأَبِشِرُوا بِالْجَنَّةِ. So let's see, what do they get? أَلَا تَخَافُوا, a comfort of security, a comfort of the inside. So security is on the outside. لا تحزنوا is on the inside, giving them this mental comfort. And number three, أبشروا بالجنة. Tell them in the future you're going to get the Jannah. أبشروا, we're coming to you to give you the glad tidings that you're going to get the Jannah that you were promised. نحن أولياؤكم في الحياة الدنيا. And not only that, so number one, ألا تخافوا. Two, ولا تحزنوا. Three, أبشروا بالجنة. Four, نحن أولياؤكم في الحياة الدنيا. We are your authority. In other words, it's kind of like saying we're under your command. We're just waiting for you to do the dua. We're just waiting for you. We're just here to give you the support that you need. نحن أولياؤكم في الحياة الدنيا. We're here in this life. We're basically your awliya. In other words, we're really under your command. And we're your authority. وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ. And even your awliya in the akhirah, to lead you to Jannah. وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَشْتَهِي أَنفُسُكُمْ. Now some scholars actually said that this is actually نحن أولياءكم في الحياة الدنيا, and في الآخرة you would get لكم فيها ما تشتهي أنفسكم. That you would get whatever your soul would desire. ولكم فيها ما تدعون. لكم فيها ما تدعون. Anything that you want, anything that you would wish for. ما تدعون, meaning what you desire, that you will actually get. نزلا من غفور رحيم. All that is set down. All that is given you. When you look at sent down, it's like it's given directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, when you go to a restaurant, you know, not ولا تشبيه, and then you would say, what is the chef's specialty? And then the chef's specialty tends to be, you know, the special the special order for that day within that restaurant. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you, oh, there's a special specialty from Rabbil Alameen. There's going to be a special given what is the word that we could say, a special gift for the believers, of course. من غفور رحيم. ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله. I want you to look at this part in that ayah. Let's zoom out for a little bit. Well, remember, the beginning was actually saying قالوا ربنا الله. Right there, the beginning was actually saying قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا. So then it takes you back and says ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله. So then it told you, listen, I told you that the first important thing I told you was قالوا ربنا الله. So now let's come back to it. So the ayah is telling you ومن أحسن قولا. Is there any better word from قولا ممن دعا إلى الله, from a person that was taking it as a mission for in their life to actually do da'wah for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? There's no better mission. There's no better job. There's no better principle than a person that would basically take that as their goal. وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا. They don't just say the word, but they actually act upon it. وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا, which is equivalent to استقاموا. وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. There's no better word than a person do the da'wah, they believe in it, they take it as a word to practice, and وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, and they are, again with the word istaqamu, they're actually firm, they're determined. And here, وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, they are proud and they would say, I am amongst and from those that submit to the Lord Almighty. Why? وَلَا تَسْتَوِي الْحَسَنَةُ وَلَا السَّيِّئَةُ. A good deed and a bad deed cannot whatsoever be the same. ادفع بالتي هي أحسن. In the end, when people would relate with you differently, so what is this taking us to? This is taking us to what it really means to live based on العمل الصالح, which is الأخلاق. How do you actually relate to that? So the ayah says, ادفع بالتي هي أحسن. You want to correct the relationship, you want to live based on akhlaq to make the amal salih. All right, ادفع بالتي هي أحسن. When somebody is acting in the wrong way, bring in a good deed. What happens? It says, well, the good deed is going to be capable of making the relationship. ادفع بالتي هي أحسن فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم. The good deed will actually have its power to flip the enemy and make him probably as if he was a very close friend to you. And this is in order to invite us. What does it really mean to live the akhlaq? وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا الَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا. Well, who's going to be capable of actually living this? Somebody did wrong to you and harmed you, and you're going there to give them a gift? That's not how our human nature works. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you, well, you don't live based on the animal nature, you live based on the Muslim nature. What do? You put in the good deed. You live based on principle, because the Prophet ﷺ said, وَلَا تَخُنْ مَنْ خَانَكَ, and don't commit treason, and don't betray those that betray you. وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا الَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا. Who's going to be capable of living all that? Who's going to be capable of actually practicing such a thing? So he said, وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا. The only ones that are going to be capable of actually living up to that high principle, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا. Only really the ones that learned how to practice patience. Patience is actually in four different things. In order to be able to practice patience, which is akhlaq, you have to actually practice patience in doing ibadah, practicing patience in abstaining from haram, practicing patience in enduring pain, and practicing patience later comes with dealing with people in trying to live the principle of how to cope and manage your temper. So that's why he said, وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا الَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا. Those that were working hard to go up their coping skills are really the ones that had become part of الَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا. وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا ذُو حَظٍّ عَظِيمٍ. And the only ones to actually get at that level are really the ones that were really حَظٍ عَظِيم, that were really very lucky to have that. But this is not talking about lucky and where it was just a matter of luck, but this is actually talking about the ones that have actually achieved the highest levels. That's what it's talking about. It's not talking about lucky as a matter of luck, but this is actually talking about those that have managed to get to the highest level of achievements are actually that. So how do we actually work on that? وَإِمَّا يَنزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ نَزْغٌ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ. And if you were to get a prick of a shaitan coming to you, telling you to act differently than what? To act differently than the words and then the actions. فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ. Then seek refuge in the Lord Almighty. He is السميع العليم. What is that trying to tell us? Do your part of dhikr. The part of dhikr that you do is actually going to give you the capacity to grow in vision, behavior, and sincerity. Once you grow with that, how do you grow with that? Put in the dhikr, put in the istighfar, connect the environment that you're surrounding yourself with to make sure that it's actually living the word of Allah Almighty. So how do you actually connect with that dhikr? So the ayah says, all right, here you go. Recognize the first part of dhikr. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ اللَّيْلُ وَالنَّهَارِ. And from the signs of Allah Almighty are the days and the nights and the days, and the shamsu wal qamar. Shams, no, basically the sun and the moon. But don't prostrate to the sun or the moon, but prostrate to the one that created them. If you were really worshiping the Lord Almighty. فَإِنِ اسْتَكْبَرُوا. And if they reject, if they refuse to do that, فَالَّذِينَ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ يُسَبِّحُونَ لَهُ بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ. Those that are actually, and scholars actually had differences of opinions on فَالَّذِينَ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ. So let me first give you the surface of that. فَالَّذِينَ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ يُسَبِّحُونَ لَهُ بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ. So those that are عند ربك, near your Lord Almighty, are praising their Lord Almighty throughout the night and throughout the day without feeling boredom. So the scholars actually had differences of opinions on whether this is referring to the malaika or whether this is referring to the people. So if this is referring to the people, then فَالَّذِينَ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ, those that are near the Lord Almighty. What about them? Meaning people that are constantly trying to get to the Lord Almighty through tasbih and through dhikr throughout the night and the day, and they don't feel the boredom, then those are the people that are really near the Lord Almighty. All right? The people that are constantly doing dhikr. If this was talking about the malaika, then it's going to be different. فَالَّذِينَ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ, the malaika are constantly doing that. In other words, if you want to be part of those that are near Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do what the malaika are doing. In other words, increase your level from being like the rest of the people to being the akhlaq al-malaika, to replicate akhlaq al-malaika, the manners of the malaika, in where you're doing the tasbih throughout the night and throughout the day and without feeling boredom. So that was that page that was requested. ومن آياته أنك ترى الأرض خاشعة فإذا أنزلنا عليها الماء اهتزت وربت إن الذي أحياها لمحيي الموتى إنه على كل شيء قدير. And from the signs, you would see الأرض, earth, when water actually comes down to it, you would see it trembling. You would see it, it starts opening up, and you start seeing different plants coming out, etc. And what is that telling us? This is trying to give you that parable, and where you recognize how earth, when something from above comes down on it, it starts trembling. In other words, they're trying to tell you the same thing. The words of the Lord Almighty, they're coming down, coming down. And if you would recite the word and you would do the dhikr in your heart, it will tremble and it will start to bring in life, just like earth would bring in life when water comes down to it. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يُلْحِدُونَ فِي. All right, you guys, I think I have to stop here because my son is telling me he wants food. Okay, we're just going to read 2 pages before it's sahur time for us.